Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostle and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to the full air. Going to try to make this lesson somewhat quick. I'm a little bit on limited time. But just wanted to do a lesson on, what Captain Tazariak brought up, what was brought up Monday about the whole, this constant thing about the age thing about when a woman should be given off in marriage. Now, you have to understand, nobody is saying to touch anybody. Nobody is saying to do anything. All we are saying is that, or all the apostles are saying, is that they're bringing out customs, ways that are in the scriptures of what happened during biblical times, right? Something, let's just use a different example, something that doesn't happen in these times, which is something that happened in the ancient times, which is, hey, if you had an unruly, right, child that didn't want to listen, hey, here in America, you can't do what the Bible says to do with the child that won't do anything, that won't listen, right? An unruly child. But in biblical times, hey, you would take him to the elders, right? After a couple of tries, you see nothing happens, you would take him to the elders and he would get stoned. Now, when that is brought out, are we telling anybody, hey, if your child is unruly, if you have a wicked child, hey, you think their child's a 2/3? Stone his ass. Nobody's saying that, right? Nobody's saying to do anything. It's just bringing out biblical information of how things went back then, okay? It's like crucifixion. Are people getting crucified today? No, but that is something that happened during the Roman time. Are we telling anybody that anybody's going to be crucified? Are we telling anybody that, hey, stone your children? No. We are just bringing out customs and how things were back then. Even in the manners of war and things like that, things were a lot different back then. Okay, although you do see some similarities when you see like sports and things like that, right? Because you could look at sports as a means of war in a way, although it is competition, but still, it is in a way a means of war, right? Going against each other. So nobody is telling anybody to touch anybody, all right? It's just information coming out. But for whatever reason, right? And I'm not trying to be offensive here, but for whatever reason, Captain Zarek and like other men like to bring this out and do what women do and say, oh, so, like if you ever talk to women and you'll be bringing out a point, they'll sit there and say, oh, so you're saying that I'm this? Or, oh, you're saying this? And it's like, I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying that's what women do. And that's what Captain Zarek is doing. Nobody is saying, again, to touch anybody. Nobody is saying to do anything. It's just bringing out biblical information. That's it. Right? So I have a couple of precepts here and I have something on ChatGPT that I also don't want to lose. So here I also have Exodus 20 and 16. Thou shalt not bear thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Right? If nobody ain't doing nothing, nobody ain't touched nobody, anything like that, don't be sitting there saying that, oh, they're saying to nobody said that. It's just bringing out biblical information, and that's it. Stop doing this women shit. Now I also have this in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 20. It reads, Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men. So we have to be men here. We have to be adults here. And again, this is not about being childish. This is not about, trying to do some... No, it's about bringing out understanding of how things worked back then and how things are going to work in the future. Because what ways do you think we're going to institute? When everybody keeps talking about the laws, the statutes, the commandments, what laws, what statutes, what commandments do you think that we're going to implement? We're going to implement the biblical ways that have been put down, the biblical ways that were put to the side. So when this information is brought out, it's brought out to edify the people that, hey, this is what we're going back to, right? The same thing like the grape thing, right? Oh, well, these men aren't saying anything. They're bringing out information of how, if a man took a woman that was not his, he had to keep her. right? And with that, hey, that would cause men to move differently, because now if a man realizes, because when you take a woman, you're taking a responsibility onto yourself, and a man will realize, hey, and it's enforced. If you take a woman that's not yours, you got to pay the dowry, you got to keep her. Now you got to deal with, as a man, this annoying woman, right? Because let's say she's annoying, that's going to annoy you for the rest of life because you can't put her away. Then on top of that, you already know she's going to have some heat against you, because why? You took her when you wasn't supposed to, right? So she's definitely going to have some heat for you, and she's definitely going to have a mouth and some things to say to you. So, with that law being enforced during biblical times, that would keep men and put in men's minds that, oh, maybe they would control their lust. They'd be like, yeah, let me not do that. And think, kind of like how, not saying that this is that, but like how the Me Too movement was, how when women would say, oh, me too, and he did, that kind of made men say, you know what? Let me be careful. Let me be cautious, because I don't want to get caught up in anything. So I'm gonna be careful, or I may not even deal with her or look at her or anything like that. You see how that kind of controlled men's minds and kind of deterred them from doing something? It's the same thing with with grape in the scriptures. The Lord gave that law so that way, in case of anything happening, hey, you would have a means of how to deal with it. Just give me a second. I just want to take this off. I don't want this to. Okay, that's it. All right. Also, with the grape doctrine, it would also what? Deter women from just wandering outside. Because you know how women like to wander outside and like to stay late outside? Well, hey, if you know that you can get got, guess what you're going to do? You're not going to stay out there. You're going to go where you need to go and bring your ass right back home. That's it. Because you have an understanding, hey, if you get got and the guy sees you out there and he a little weird in the head, guess what? He going to take you. So unless you want to get taken, you better go where you got to go and come back. Excuse me. See? This builds a certain mindset. It prevents people from doing things. It prevents women from, getting got. It prevents men from doing things that they're later going to regret. That's all. Prevention. That's it. Bring out biblical customs that prevent prevention. If I could say it that way. That's it. But for some reason, just like the black woman, once you bring out logic, once you bring out reasoning, that same excuse of, oh, these guys are saying this. Oh, so you're saying this about me? It's the same thing that black women do. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry. So what does it mean by the flower of her age? When she gets her period. That's all. Which I have biblical information here. Right here. Right? I didn't want to lose this because I had to ask this question a couple of times, because sometimes ChatGPT could be funny. Right? Now, last time I asked it, it had a little bit more information, but this is about as close as I can get. So I asked ChatGPT, what was the biblical marriageable age? Biblical marriageable age during the time of Bible times that we read, right? We're men of the scriptures, right? We call ourselves men of the Lord. Okay, well, what was the biblical marriageable age? These are questions that might come up, and you have to have an answer for it. You can't say, I don't know. No, you have to have an answer. In biblical times, the marriageable age varied, but it is generally understood that girls married around the age of 12 to 14, while boys typically married in their late teens to early 20s. These ages reflect cultural norms, so it was normal, and practices of ancient societies, where marriage often occurred soon after puberty. So, what would be the flower of a woman's age? When she gets a period. that shows that what she is now able to bear children. This is just bringing out biblical. Did I say at any point to touch anybody? Did I say at any point to do anything? No. This is just bringing out biblical customs. Excuse me. And there's also reasons behind this as well. These ages reflect cultural norms and practices of ancient societies where marriage often occurred soon after puberty. Specific examples can be found in various biblical texts, biblical meaning Bible, but exact ages are not always detailed. But it is, like it says, generally understood that girls were married off at 12 to 14. Did it say anything there about touching anybody? No. It is just saying during ancient times, biblical times, right? Like it says, specific examples can be found in biblical text, so it can be found in the scriptures that women were often given off in marriage, which what is marriage? Sex, right? Sex is marriage. That around the age of 12 to 14, they were given off in marriage. And universally, or let me not say universally, but the societal norm for men when they got with a woman, they would be older than the woman. So typically they'd be in their 20s. The woman would probably be 20 to 14. Maybe, you never know, those occurrences. Maybe sometimes 15, 16, maybe even 17. You never know, right? Certain instances, right? Matter of fact, I don't want to lose this either, but I know we're dealing with Rachel and Leah. So this is when, after Esau wanted to kill Jacob, he went to go to his kindred Laban, and Jacob met Rachel, and he pretty much, fell in love with her. He saw how beautiful she looked. Right, so I'll read this right here, Genesis 29 and 16. And Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve these 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee than I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love that he had for her. So this is how, hey, this was the means of Jacob's dowry. Hey, serve me for 7 years, and I'll give it to you. Are we saying that to do that today? Hey, you want my daughter, or you want anybody's daughter? No. It's just bringing up biblical times, because obviously things don't work that way today. Now, when it was time, okay, yeah, let's continue reading. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. When you say go in unto her, meaning have sex. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast, right? A celebration. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, which is the eldest daughter, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went in unto her. Now you may be saying, how do you not know? But it's a feast, a celebration. Probably got drunk, didn't see, thought he was messing with Rachel and things like that. Maybe was calling her Rachel in the moment, right? But then, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. So once he woke up, he was like, oh, it's the same thing, the club, things like that. You get your nice chick, you've been drinking and all that. You have your way with her and things like that. Not like that. But you do your thing with her. And then guess what? You wake up in the morning, you probably thinking you're going to see the same face that you went to the club with and all that. And then you wake up, you see this monstrosity next to you. Like, whoa, what is this? So Jacob's like, hold on. I wake up in the morning, I thought I was taking down Rachel. It's Leah. Like, whoa, what happened? And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, you can imagine his seeing that, probably holding her, hey, what's good, baby? Then it's Leah looking at you like, whoa, what's going on? Rushing out the tent like, yo, what's your daughter doing up in there? What's she doing there? What is this thou hast done unto me? I did not serve with thee for Rachel, wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. See? So it doesn't give the age, but what? You had to give, he wanted to give away the elder sister or the elder daughter. So this was Laban's, like it says, his treachery that, hey, I got you to serve 7 years for me. And I tricked you. You was a little buzz last night. So it's like, let me sneak Leia in there. I know how much you love the Rachel, my daughter. So let me sneak Leia in there, get them 7 years out of you. And then, hey, let me get another 7 out of you. And now I'll give you Rachel. Right? That's how he wants to get more labor out of Jacob. Right? Laban said, again, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. Right? And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. See? So Rachel was the younger, and Leah was the oldest. But what? Laban wanted to get rid of the eldest, because probably couldn't find nobody to marry her. So it's like, oh look, I'm gonna get this guy. I'm gonna get this guy nice, and then after that, when he not even in his right mind, I'm gonna slip Leah in there. And then afterwards, I'm gonna get another 7 years. God, I know how much he loved Rachel. That's what Laban did. So, could estimate, according to this information here, that Rachel was probably between the ages of 12 to 14. And like I was saying earlier, you may have those cases where 15, 16, 17, let's say even 18 maybe. Hey, Rachel may have been around that age and it's like, yo, you only getting older. I need to get you up out of here. I'm going to do this. And that's what Laban did. Let's see this. Some good information. So the next question asks, what factors influence marriageable age in biblical times? It has here several factors influence marriageable age in biblical times. Obviously, you have cultural norms, societal customs, and traditions dictated when individuals were considered ready for marriage, often aligning with puberty. Keep seeing that word puberty there. What is the time of a woman's puberty? When she passed the flower age, when she has her period. It's even said today, oh, she's entering puberty now. How? By her having a period. Right? It has here life expectancy. With shorter life expectancies, earlier marriages were common. So it was common to give your daughter off at a younger age, right? Earlier marriages were common as individuals aimed to have children while still young. Gender roles, expectations surrounding gender roles influence when girls and boys were deemed ready for marriage, with different standards for each. So there was different standards for when a woman would get married and the men, as brought out here earlier, right? But it is generally understood that girls married around the age of 12 to 14, while boys typically married in their late teens to early 20s. So in the situation between Joseph and Mary, there is no age given, but according to societal norms and generally understood, Joseph could have been in his 20s, let's say 25. Mary could have been 13, 14. That's what it was. Right? It says these factors combine to shape the age at which individuals typically married in biblical societies. Hmm. I just want to get out a little bit more information. Let me see. Right? It even wrote in a little different here. It says girls were often expected to marry and bear children soon after puberty, while boys might wait until they were established in their work or had attained a certain level of maturity, which is not often the case that happens today, right? It even has infant and maternal mortality. High rates of infant and maternal mortality meant that families often sought to have children young, prompting earlier marriages to start families, right? Because, as they say, a woman's biological clock, affects her when she gets around the age of 30, if I'm not mistaken, right? Starts having complications if she tries to have children at an earlier age. But what's pushed here in America? Chase your career. All those times in your youth and everything you wasted chasing your career when you should be trying to start find a good man and have a family. But what is promoted here? Chase the career, get your college degree, do all of that stuff, and then once you get close to the age of 30, where your biological clock is going down and your body is not it's not saying that you can't have children at the age of 30. Not saying that. Again, if a woman was listening to this, she would say, oh, so you're trying to tell me I can't have kids at a certain age? Not saying that. But the way the Heavenly Father designed women's bodies, this is how He designed you. If you have a problem with it, take it up with Him. That the older you get trying to have kids, there is more a issue that you may be at risk for your life being taken or some complications happening with the child. So it was preferred, and this is what people understood because you probably had those certain examples up back in the ancient time. Because how would people know this? So you probably had where people tried to have kids at a later age, and there was complications. So it was saw that, oh, it's best to have kids at a younger time, and therefore the societal norm became once a woman passes the flower of her age, right, when she gets her period, it's best to marry her off at a younger age. And that's why Laban wanted to give off Leah, because you're only getting older. Whereas during biblical times with men, they would be more established. They would probably have some type of you know for lack of better words, reoccurring income, right? They would have always have some type of wealth or something, right? Be well established, right? Maybe have a trade job or something like that, right? In biblical times, carpentry, if you will, right? With Yahweh father Joseph and things like that, right? So that way you can be able to take care of that woman and the child when the time comes. But today it's not so. Usually you have young men seat up a woman, skeet up in her, and then what? At the end in high school, and then what? They're not able to take care of the woman. So they're not well established. They're not mentally mature, right? They don't have any money to themselves, or anything. And then eventually they'll probably break up. The woman will probably be a single mother, probably find somebody else, and he'll probably just go around living his life. But to prevent that type of stuff from happening, usually the man will be older, because as he gets older, as men get older, they get more wise, they get more mature, as opposed to when they were younger, right? Today, what is the age that a man is a man, right? That he becomes an adult? 18. But biblical age, it's 12. So all that was brought out here, and I'm ending this soon, all that was brought out here is information on how things were ran back then. Here today, a man as an adult at the age of 18. Biblical times, a man was an adult at the age of 12. You had to grow up quick, right? Today, the age that a woman would be, they say it's okay for a woman or a woman that's an adult or whatever, is at the age, if I'm not mistaken, 18, right? And now you could get married. Now you can do this. Although when she was in high school, she was pop. Pardon my language, but I'm just gonna say it. She was popping that pussy, right? All over that. Let's just be honest, or at least in my experience going to high school, we know how women were in high school. But during biblical times, what happened? She would be given off once she has a first period, once it's found out. Right? She would come to the mother and tell her, Mom, I have my period. There you go. Then it would be like, oh, gotta find you a man. Gotta find you somebody. Now it's not immediately, but it's, thought, okay, now that you've had your period, we gotta find you a suitable mate. This is how things work back then. That's all. right? Even with the father giving the daughter off as well. That's not something that you see today. Usually the woman picks and chooses her man. I want to pick and choose who I want to love, right? But back then, the father would give away the daughter off, as we saw with Laban and Jacob. Do you see that stuff really happening today? No. You don't have the father deciding who the daughter is going to be with. No. The daughter, oh, I found somebody. I love him so much. He makes me happy. That's how it goes today. Societal differences from biblical times to now. But all I brought out and all the elders and apostles of Great Millstone brought out is information regarding this. That's all. So let me see if I could steal maybe 3 more minutes of your time. Yeah, maybe that'll be it. Actually, let me see. Yeah, I believe the point was made, but I'm trying to think. Are there any other precepts? I just want to be thorough with this. But yeah, I believe the point was made, just hitting all the points. But Lord's willing, I hope and pray that this video has been edifying. In ending, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all elect. Shalom. Gotta grow up. Stop being a child. Just bringing out biblical information.